Should we look at our test?
I mean, are we there yet? Or
I think we're there, yeah. So
we're there? Okay, is there anything else you're missing that you want to finish here?
Well, I just want to say that, a lot of people who are interested in anti-aging or age management medicine or improving quality of life as we age, they tend to be pretty competitive. And so I always want to also just mention something you all probably heard, probably a lot of people who are watching this have heard, which is, the story of Brian Johnson, right?
We saw him right now at RadFest.
Yeah.
He was an interesting guy from what he spoke about.
Definitely. I mean, really successful entrepreneur who I think is taking this aging.
Could you say before you say that, what is he doing?
Yes.
Who is he?
Yeah.
So people understand what this guy is doing.
Absolutely. So Brian is most famous for selling his company Braintree to which was doing payment processing for PayPal, a couple of these other things, for about $850 million or something. And he did this in his at a relatively young age. And so for Brian, he's all of a sudden at this point in his life where he's made a lot of money and sort of asking the question, what can I do next, or what is important to me? And I think for him, living long was an important priority, and so what he's done is he sort of has committed himself as almost like a full-time job to anti-aging. So he's made a lot of news and publicity because he spends around $2 million a year on trying to reverse his own biological aging. And so he's a good poster child, I think, for everything that everyone wants to do, but also answering and finding your own questions. And so the reason I also like to bring this up is twofold. One is that you don't have to spend $2 million.
Yes.
On
We don't make spend $2 million. I don't got $2 million. It's right on my
I don't know what the bar is.
Exactly. But with that being said, you can still be competitive, still influence change with even just no spend, right? We can talk about caloric restriction, which actually will save you money and extend your lifespan. But I also like to mention, because Brian is committed to everyone having benefit from this, including he's doing this, I think, as a way to take the lessons he's learned and apply them to everyone. Not everyone has his resources, and I think that he realizes that, and he wants to say, how can we learn from these lessons? And so if you are a competitive person, you can also, with Brian, we've launched a website called the Rejuvenation Olympics, which is a leaderboard for the best overall ages, but also the best age reductions. So we can really start to find out what's working and then apply it to everyone. And so hopefully we'll
I checked out those numbers, by the way. We have a client that was actually younger than David Johnson. I'm like, damn, okay.
Exactly, and so with that, I think we can certainly get. I think we can go into your all's results if you wanted to.
All right.
Now before
I won last time. But that's what I want to say first.
Just have the viewer know that the bar with these tests are very high, because people that have been testing with Ryan started in the optimization field, so they were at the peak, right, of health.
Yeah.
So,
and to mention that, I should say that just to expand on that a little bit, our cohort is some of the most healthy, most preventative-minded,
disciplined.
They're people who have been going to these preventive medicine physicians for years and years. So if you looked at our cohort versus the cohort we tested at this Harvard Biobank, on average, the Harvard group were about 5 years older biologically than our age group or chronologically.
Wow.
So whenever we were showing these statistics, it's important to have that context, because if we were going to compare against the Harvard population, all of you would probably be in the top 20%.
And to go back to your statistic, how we started this conversation, if you reverse your age by just 1 year, right? It's a huge accomplishment.
And you know what that sort of tells us on whole is that the people in this community are on average doing 5 of those 7 years, right? And so maybe if we started to apply that as a whole to a larger population, we could see these types of effects.
Amazing.
So with that being said, I think Michael, we're here with you first. Going into some of your results. So one other thing I should mention:
45 years old.
But
take this off. This is bad news.
Context is important, though. Context is important. Right?
But wait, say what's your chronological age and what did your results
Man,
show?
are you putting me on the spot? But all right, my chronological age is 38 years old, and my biological age apparently shows at 45. So don't listen to me.
Hey, not at all. I want to make sure that's not the takeaway, right? We can joke.
I
about
will get into why. I know that's happening.
And we can joke about it, but again, context is important. And so for this algorithm, people who are under the age of 50 are usually accelerated in their biological aging. So it's very unlikely, even if you were in the probably top 20% of this cohort, you might still have an accelerated biological age compared to your chronological age if you're younger. And with all of us being relatively young, we're going to see that, right? So we're going to see a little bit higher ages. That's why the percentile is also very important. Where do you rank in our population? And so we've tested over 35,000 patients. Again, very competitive, healthy patients. And that puts you right around the 82nd percentile.
So wait, what does this 45-year-old mean? Like, what is this?
So really, the really useful tool, like you said, is the pace
It's a
of age.
Dudenin pace.
Pace of age.
That's also, yes, that Dunedin pace is the other important factor, because it also, for someone, my favorite example is actually physicians like you, who maybe have gone through residency, gone through medical school, taken very poor care of themselves, right? Yeah, and then they get into this integrative space, right? And then they get exposed to preventative medicine, and they think, oh, I'm not doing this. I should do it. I should impact this change. I should impact this change. So my favorite example is the physicians, because a lot of times we get them, they're very accelerated in their biological age, but then they've been in this space for maybe 2 years. Their rates of aging are all very low. And so we have ability to look at a point of time measure, but also the big picture. And usually they're very compatible. So if you're improving your rate of aging, you're also improving your overall age. And so so I think that's an important context. But even with your results, you're still, it's still not bad. If you were in that Harvard population, you'd still be doing way better than average. And so that's, again, important context to have, right? So but the thing that we probably don't want to see for you, Michael, is that you have a rate of aging that's above 1. And so that for us is something we automatically will want to say, this is the one marker that we want to drive down and retest for you, so that we can see that after time, that whole biological age will go down. And so we might want to start thinking about the reasons, right? And trying to identify that root cause. And our omic age allows us to do that. I've got one thing that I'd be happy to talk about, and this fetal acetylglutamine. So this is a marker we really want to be low.
Wait, which one are we
So
pointing
we're looking
at?
at the bottom right.
Okay.
And so this is a factor that's a metabolite in our blood. And generally, it's a metabolite that is produced by our gut microbiome. Okay. And whenever it is produced at higher levels, causes higher risk of cardiovascular disease. And so as a constellation of symptoms, so on if we can look at that omic age report for a lot of resolution, we see that you're in the top 90% of that marker. And some of the other markers related to it, which tell us that we're probably seeing for you a cardiovascular risk phenotype, and
connected to gut.
So absolutely to gut and microbiome, but manifesting itself in the outcomes that would predict cardiovascular outcomes. And so we want to maybe ask the question of like, what's driving that, and maybe pay focus and attention to your cardiovascular biomarkers as maybe the thing that is driving that aging rate.
Okay, well, but then again, the 45, I'm still stuck on this 45.
Yeah. Don't get stuck on that.
What is that? That's just the overall.
You 45, bro.
So that's how we just want to conceptualize, because again, what we're measuring is really a whole host of things within your biological system molecularly that we want to be able to interpret, right?
Okay.
And so the way that we're going to do that is by using the convention most people are familiar with, which is age, right? And again, context is important for that age, because again, if you're a regular patient population, you look accelerated, but you're not actually, right? So that's why looking at that percentile is really, really important to help you conceptualize what we're turning into a number.
Well, I'll take really seriously the fact that I'm seeing that. I know that has a lot to do, and this is something we still can't measure, which is stress.
Absolutely.
Psychological stress. As my business partners know, I get stressed because it's a bad tendency that I've had since I was a kid. A lot of fear in this area. If you talk about the chakras, my bottom 3 are my survival ones. I've had a lot of problems with digestion, with constipation, and just my bottom chakras, right?
Absolutely.
And then that kind of makes sense that all these things, no matter how many supplements you take, no matter how many peptides you take, and believe me, we can take peptides and supplements.
No matter how much you sleep.
Yeah, and the sleep was a big thing. I was literally, what's it called? Not surveillance, like hypervigilant. Like anything wakes me up, right? So I'm getting 5 hours of sleep and I'm trying to run the engine and like bypassing all the alarm system to go and get things done. And as you know, I'm sympathetic, very fight or flight mode, and constantly engaging in fight or flight, I think is totally taking an impact. Again, this is not something that's happened in 2 years. I'm 38. I've been like this for at least 18 years, and I think that's had an accumulated effect
Absolutely.
on my health. And this is a way for me to wake up and start managing stress through meditation or whatever.
So
it is.
based on
like
this,
this,
what are the day-to-day things that this can tell him? Because you're
Absolutely.
very smart in knowing this, but
Right.
the average
Yeah.
consumer who see this may not have that insight.
Definitely. And I want to go back to the fact of stress, just before I go into what else can be done, because the original algorithm by Dr. Steve Horvath at UCLA that kicked all of this off, 83 of the 353 sites we were looking at within the blood were located at glucocorticoid signaling molecules. So stress absolutely is a big driver of this. There've been studies to quantify this. Even your ability to regulate your emotions, the ability to I would say calm yourself is directly related to stress and to biological aging. And so we can now start to say that, I'm another good poster child of this, because whenever I first tested, my biological age was way higher than it should be. And I was always treating meditation as something that, I was, I wasn't,
to hit.
Exactly. And meditation for me, I was like, is this working? Am I actually doing it? Am I actually being mindful? To me, it wasn't quantifiable, which is, I think, what obviously people can probably see from my choice of profession I'm very interested in. But as time went on, I found that, doing mindfulness, doing hot yoga, those types of things that actually make me mindful, absolutely decrease my biological age. And so I would say that I presented exactly like this.
So when they say don't get worked up because it's not worth it, it's actually true.
It's actually true. So I can't say stress enough, but again, I think that going back to your question about what do you actually do about this, this goes into the resolution that we can actually have now above and beyond just treatments for aging, because we know things that work for aging. We see it in these meta-analysis of hundreds of thousands of people as we look at the population. We know that exercise, right, it's great for you. We know that Mediterranean diets or caloric restriction generally very good for you. But now we can look at the individual basis and say, hey, we're looking at your results. We see that this gut microbiome metabolite that's related to cardiovascular disease. So we're probably going to hit the things that improve cardiovascular function and microbiome function more than anything else.
And then also going back to the whole piano and piano player analogy, like now that you see this, you can, kind of internalize it and say, I really do need to change my mental and emotional habits and become the player, despite that I only have these 88 keys. I'm just going to choose to play them differently.
Meaning it doesn't matter how many supplements I take. It's it's really an awakening call that, oh my God, emotions and your thoughts are like eating garbage. So if I have bad thoughts and I'm stressed and I have whatever I'm experiencing that's negative, it's actually like eating fast food.
And you know what? I'm really happy that you do this.
That's interesting.
Ryan, because we are huge in our clinic, and Doc is amazing at this. He's one of the very few physicians that I know that actually, when he speaks to patients, he spends the majority of the time talking about mindset and connection, right? And, like you said, you were trying to meditate, you're not a good meditator. We weren't good meditators because you can't quantify it, and it sounds like juju stuff, but it's actually... it does impact your life on a very measurable basis.
Exactly.
So if I can look at his results, and when we talk about stress, it was hard for me to understand that. There's different types of stress, right? There's physical stress, and sometimes overworking out is not good for the body. We're talking about this.
Definitely.
There's psychological stress, which you talk a lot about. There's environmental stress, toxin stress. So all the EDCs can stress your DNA and all this. And one thing that I've learned when it comes to the psychological stress, and my prescription for you is going to be, how do you deal with this? And,
Really
and
gonna
you
do
guys,
this on camera, man?
no, listen,
I'm kidding.
both of you guys said that
Thank you.
really well. Like having that meditation, but the meditation became almost a competitive event. There's this Chinese concept called Wu Wei, the art of non-doing. Us Westerners, we're not good at this. We always want to achieve something,
go.
Get a breakthrough. Even meditation, I need to do an hour. It's always do. Wu Wei, this Chinese thing, it says you sometimes not doing anything is the best therapy.
Absolutely.
You're not good at this. You can't just, even when you're trying to relax, okay, I'm going to relax for 3 minutes, then I'm going to do this. Everything needs to be quantified into a goal. So my prescription to you, and like we say, let go and let God. And let go, non-doing, not easy. Same with you, as you were saying, your meditation was, I needed to achieve this. So learning, we're big on supplements, prescription, do this, but also don't do this. Sometimes withdraw a little.
And to echo you, man, I stand on the Judeo-Christian is the same thing, and this has been a powerful mantra in my life. Be still and know that I am God. That's the stillness of doing nothing. Just be still.
Yeah.
So this is amazing.
And so I'll even give you another statistic which takes that into consideration, which is they did a study about work-life stress. So just looking at occupational behaviors and biological age, and they found that people who work over 40 hours a week are on average 1.5 years older than those people who don't. So even again, there's probably some confounding effects
What about
there.
those people who work 80 hours a week?
Yeah,
Well, no. Listen, you know what? I was going to say that because we work a lot more hours, but I think there is a sense of fulfillment in what we do.
Yeah, let's correct this. I like to say
different.
from 8 to 5, we work. From 5 and on, we build. We create.